Well, hey, everybody. Happy Sunday morning to you. Hope you are doing well. Getting ready to record Mike in the Midwest. So let's do this. Episode 223. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to episode number 223 of Mike in the Midwest, our mini podcast for the amazing patrons just like you of the Be Our Guest podcast. Of course, my name is Mike Rallman, host of the Be Our Guest podcast, which you can find wherever you download podcasts. But you know that because you're a patron. But the fun place to find us, and I mean all of us, is at beourguestpodcast.com/clubhouse. That's where we all have fun, hang out, post pictures, post memes, post GIFs, and just keep track of each other and have fun. Some of us talk about how bad our football teams are, how great our football teams are, our live trip reports going on right now from Walt Disney World. Maybe we're down running the wine and dine races. Shout out to everybody who at this point has completed maybe the 5, the 10, the half, all of them. Some of them have collected the medals, but most importantly, collected the memories and have hopefully eaten all the good food. I wish I could have been there with you. Maybe next year. I don't know if you saw the dates, but the dates for next year's Wine and Dine Half Marathon festivities in October. They've moved it up a little bit, which means it will not conflict, I don't think, with the New York City marathon weekend, which has always been an issue for folks that are serious runners on the East Coast. Because I see that was happening. Actually, it's concluding right now as we speak, as we record this show here on November 3rd, 2024. In case you're listening to this later on down the line, the New York City Marathon is wrapping up as we speak. But yeah, that'll avoid that. And it'll be interesting because it'll be definitely during the Halloween party season, but before Halloween. So I don't know if that gets people more psyched to run the race next year, but race registration will be soon. So you'll have to make the call. Do you want to go down and sign up for Wine and Dine next year? We shall see. So check out rundisney.com for those details. We have the dates for 2 race weekends at this point for the Halloween races out at Disneyland, which those are still going to be over the Labor Day weekend, and for Wine and Dine 2025. Holy cow. Are we really talking about fall 2025 already? Things are going way too quickly. I know. Look behind me here in the studio. Well, nobody's tuned in live right now. I don't believe it. Maybe I don't know. I don't really broadcast these out live, but when you tune in tonight for the live call-in show, if you check this out before the live call-in show comes out tonight at 7:00 Eastern, 6:00 Central, the Boo Buckets are all gone. The Donald Duck candy corn sipper that I put out for Halloween. The Halloween season has come and gone. Boo to you. No longer playing at the Magic Kingdom. The Christmas tree is up. The garland is hanging on the boughs of the Magic Kingdom. The gingerbread house at the Grand Floridian is done. I How did they build that thing so fast? Is it just me? But in the past, did it not take them like a week or two to build that thing? And this year they built it in like 12 hours? I I seriously, I mean, did they make us sound like total idiots on the podcast? Because I'm pretty sure over the past week or so, we've gotten a couple questions about, if I go over to the Grand Floridian, if I stay at the Grand Floridian, will I be able to see the gingerbread house? And I thought we said maybe not until like around Thanksgiving. That sucker, we saw that they put out some pictures for the gingerbread house, like it's coming. And I am not kidding. I'm pretty sure that thing is done. Am I hallucinating? Because I have had a crazy day yesterday. I've been out, I, I don't know. Yesterday was totally, I was off my game yesterday because I was at the cheerleading championships and my phone didn't work in the Hearn Center where the competition took place. And we were on the road a lot yesterday. I didn't get to run, so I was totally off my game. So I don't know, but I thought that I saw that the gingerbread house at the Grand was done. Can that be the case? I got to do some research because I just got up this morning. I did a bonus run this morning because I didn't run yesterday, catching up on things. So I got to catch up before the live call-in show tonight. So we'll see. Can that be true? I don't know. But I know that they're being aggressive with the Christmas decorations. I mean, they are quick this year, it seems like. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll talk. That's what I'm going to talk about tonight. So join us again, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. I'm hoping Scotty G will be there. I know Scott spent the weekend in Niagara Falls over on the Canadian side, over in Toronto, and all that. So he had a good time with his family over there. So I hope he makes it back safe and in time to join us, because the show is always a lot more fun with Scotty G on the line. So make some time. That's always a fun way for me, and I hope it is for you as well, to wrap up a weekend, to kind of bring some closure. Whether you call in, we love it when you take the time to spend 10-15 minutes with us on the line. Love to get your take on things going on with the Disney community. But if not, just to throw it on your phone or your TV or what have you, and to just have us there in the background as a Sunday night wraps up, as the weekend wraps up. So, did you get your extra hour of sleep? I did. I went to bed at the normal time. I was exhausted yesterday, totally tired, and I did get my extra hour of sleep. But I slept. I did. I mean, I slept an extra hour, but I'm still exhausted. So, didn't help. I mean, I'm looking at myself here as we record the show, because you have to when you do a video podcast. I'm right here on the screen so that the audience can see when you do a show like this. But I look dog tired. I look 90 years old, so it didn't help with the looks. I mean, not that I definitely have a face for radio. I'm definitely not a good looking guy. So yeah, I look tired. I look exhausted. So it didn't help with that. Feel exhausted. So I guess that did not go well for me. So I hope it did better for you. We'll see that tonight, though, is the longest night in the history of the world, especially if you have pets, because here in St. Louis, it'll get dark about 4:30. It's also a rainy day in St. Louis, which does not help. So it's totally cloudy. It's drizzly out right now. I already took Riley out for her morning walk where she does her business, and it was raining then, and it's supposed to rain this afternoon. It's supposed to rain all day tomorrow, all day Tuesday. So I think it's even worse when this time of year has the transition and it's rainy at the same time, because it is going to be dark, gloomy, and just everybody's going to be sad for like 3 days. And speaking of sad, so I always talk about like what's going on around here. We had the state cheerleading championships yesterday out at Mizzou. That's where our whole state gets together. And if you don't know, the geography of the state of Missouri is that Mizzou, the University of Missouri, they did a good job of establishing where our main state university is. It is dead in the center of our state, because our state is pretty large. If you look on the map, Missouri is a pretty large state, and Mizzou is right in the dead center. So you got the major metropolitan areas of Kansas City in the west, St. Louis in the east, and then you have some other kind of smaller metropolitan areas like Springfield's down in the southwest, and a couple other cities, but those are the three big ones. So all the schools go to Mizzou for like most of the state championships. And so the cheerleading state championships were this weekend at Mizzou. So we qualified and we went there. Last year we came in second. So we're trying to win it all this year. And unfortunately, same result. We got second in the state, which is not bad for a state the size of Missouri. Lots of cheerleaders. But we were trying to win first. So there were a lot of sad cheerleaders and a lot of disappointed girls, but a lot of great athletes. And again, a successful season. We're not done. We're only halfway. It's weird because the championships happen halfway through the season, but really proud of our squad, because again, I think that if you don't have somebody who is a cheerleader, and I didn't understand this until I became a cheer dad, is that you think cheerleaders just stand on the sidelines and yell and shake pom-poms and don't do much. But I will tell you that the sport of cheerleading is way more than that. These girls, and there's co-ed cheerleading, so there's guys in there too. They are tremendous athletes that dedicate a lot of time to their skill, to their trade. And you see it on display when you go to these championships, and you see the level of determination and sacrifice that they give to all the time, and the sacrifices they make to give to their teams. And the thing is, it is just, It's really hard to watch as a parent and a fan because it's like a dance parent or, if like you're a parent of a figure skater or a band parent, I'm sure it's the same thing if you because we have our band is really good at our high school too, and they go to these band competitions that last all day long. Scott's a band parent, and I know he goes to band competitions with Emily, and you compete in these battle of the bands and so forth, and then you're judged, right? These judged competitions and you just hold your breath that everything goes smoothly because you practice, 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 and at practice, back at your home school, everything probably goes well. And like in cheerleading, it's called you have a full out. That's like your practice. You go full out. You do everything exactly like you would at the competition, and you try to what's called hit zero, no deductions. And so you do that, do that, do that, and then you just hope it happens at the competition. You have a perfect routine. And of course, yesterday we had a we had one of our 5 stunt groups fall. Have a bobble. It happens. It's the crucible of competition, right? I mean, the whole Mizzou arena is full of people. It's probably 3,000-4,000 people in the bowl watching from all around the state, all these teams. It was like 150 degrees in there. Yeah, it's pressure. And it's 14 to 18-year-old athletes. And it's what athletics does. I mean, it brings to bear the pressure, and that's what athletics does. It teaches you life lessons. And life lessons aren't always in the victories. A lot of times life lessons are in the setbacks and how you come back from them. So it's okay to come in second, right? You learn more lessons in the second places than the first places. And I am so proud of that squad, that they rallied because there's a picture where you just see them because they got their state plaque that will hang in the high school forever. Second place in the state of Missouri cheerleading, which is a great honor. But they're not. They have the fake. The whole squad has the fakest smiles for cheerleaders that you could ever imagine because they are not happy with second, and that makes me happy because I like to see girls that want to be winners, but they should still be proud because they have accomplished so much. But I also like that they're not satisfied with second. That's a statement about the kind of people they are. So I'm just super proud of them. Anyway, that's what's going on around here. So did you guys have a good Halloween transition? Not really. Let me tell you about Halloween. I'm going to mention this on tonight's live call-in show. I don't know about you guys. We had great weather here in Missouri for Halloween for once. I mean, it's usually, I don't know why, but like we usually have pretty terrible weather for some reason on Halloween. Either it's rainy or it's super cold. It just seems like in the last few years we have not had good weather on Halloween, but this year it was prime. It was a little bit chilly, but we had a fire pit. We have like this solo stove thing I got for my wife for Christmas a few years ago. So we took that out and put that on the driveway. And Paige, when she came back from Chicago like 6 months ago, she had so much stuff in her car. I mean, her car was full of junk. Well, we told her, you got to clean out your car. Your car's a mess. And so we started taking all this stuff out of her car. She had like 9 basketballs, like women's basketballs that she did. They got new basketballs for a team. She didn't know what to do with them. So we took these 9 basketballs out. Pam's going to take them to her school and give them to her kids just for free because her kids love playing basketball. She still hasn't. They're sitting in our garage, but these basketballs, and Paige had this cord. I don't even know. It was just wrapped firewood, like a I don't know how much a cord is, but it's like what you like if you go to, I don't know, here we have gas stations called QT. It's like a bundle, I guess, like a bundle of firewood. It was like 8 or 9 little pieces of firewood that's wrapped in cellophane. So she had that in her trunk. I don't know why. She lives in Chicago, like in the most inner city part of Chicago, but she had a bundle of firewood in her trunk. So we took that out. She had all this junk in her trunk and all this stuff in her car. That's been sitting in our garage for like 9 months. So we finally got a chance to take out the solo stove, burn this firewood. It's been sitting in our garage for 9 months, and it was awesome. So we sat in our driveway, had a little fire pit going, got our little candy, put it on a little table, and the trick-or-treaters came by, and it was awesome. Now I'll tell you this. I don't know how it was for you, but man, did we have, my wife brought this up to me. I didn't bring this up to her. She brought it up to me. I bet you 90% of the kids who came by, and we had some teens, which I want to tell you something about that too. I bet you 90% of the costumes were Disney. I bet you 90% were Disney. We had a lot of princesses. We had a Beauty and the Beast. And I told them, I said, I like that. I do a podcast called Be Our Guest, and I said, score. That is awesome. But we had a Wreck-It Ralph. We just had so many Disney. Now we did have SpongeBob. Now the SpongeBob was awesome because they live down the street from us. It's this cute little boy and girl that live probably about 10 houses down. But we saw them like 3 weeks ago with this box in the garage, just like a cardboard box that I guess like came from like a dishwasher or something. I mean, it's a pretty good sized box, but they made this thing from scratch. Like we saw them painting it yellow and the kid cutting, like the mom and the boy cutting holes in the side and him like measuring his arms. And I told my wife at the time, I said, Pam, I said, I bet you that's going to be a Halloween costume. Cause like at the very beginning of October, and lo and behold, because we were trying to guess like what could it be. And I think she said it could be SpongeBob because it's square. It's like SpongeBob's kind of square. And he's like that age where SpongeBob would kind of be his jam. And that's exactly what it was. But it was so good looking. It was so good looking. So we had probably 90% Disney. There were a couple costumes I didn't get because they were like anime or something. That's when you know you're getting old, right? It was like a fish or something. I'm like, I had no idea who that was. So I didn't ask. But of course, you had like a couple like nutty professors, like nerds. I got into that. I love that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, I loved it. So I don't know like what ruled the day for your Halloween costumes wherever you were. What was your best Halloween costume? That's going to be the password for tonight. Was the best Halloween costume that you saw come through. But most of ours were like Disney princesses. We had a crew relative, especially the little kids. The little kids were all mostly, and it was classic Disney. I didn't see any like Moanas or like Coco. It was mostly it was like the classic Disney princesses. There was Cinderella, there was a Jasmine, there was Belle. It was just like the Disney Renaissance. And little kids too. So I guess those same, it was basically the same Halloween costumes that Paige and Mallory wore. And Paige is 28. She just turned 28 yesterday. And Mallory's 16. It's weird though. Why? I mean, I guess they're still watching that stuff on Disney Plus. I would think the younger kids now would be connecting with the newer movies, but I guess they're still watching those same princesses. Interesting. But it was cool to see that almost all of our costumes were Disney. Definitely still a lot of Disney costumes coming through. So I don't know how it was for you. Anyway, that is what is going on around here. Now, speaking of Halloween, let's kind of close the book on Halloween with the feedback from last week's show, which was I gave you a few places that I did not enjoy being alone as a kid. Freaked out like grandma's house or like at the shopping mall after working a shift at Chick-fil-A, having to go through the tunnels, or being at the skating rink when I had to go up there in the middle of the night and I swore somebody was between me and the door. And I was like, oh no, I'm not getting out of here alive. I'm not kidding. I still think of that story and I'm like, I'm a dead man. There's no way out of this skating rink. I'm going to die at spinning wheels and it's not going to be good. Okay. Trisha's got her feedback. Gotta love Trisha. She hosts the daily trivia over on the Clubhouse, beourguestpodcast.com/clubhouse. Come on over. I got today's answer. I don't know for sure. I know I do because it's a blurred picture and I got it. I mean, I just know it's clear. It's not that blurry. I mean, if I miss this one, I give up. All right, Trisha. She says trick-or-treating in the neighborhood was a success. Back at home was quiet, though. We are that family that leaves a bowl out as we take our kiddo out. We live in a pretty quiet area and had one visitor, our 80-year-old neighbor who snuck a Reese's cup. Glad someone got to enjoy it. The rest of the leftover candy went to work. Sometimes I walk in the evenings after sunset. If I'm by myself, I will listen to a podcast. The scariest moment was when I was listening to a Disney podcast being recorded in park. Must have been near the train station because out of nowhere, there was a loud train whistle. I jumped and then felt silly for being that startled. Yes. So I will tell you what. So similar to what Trisha just said, there are times because I run on the treadmill, right? Every morning I'm on the treadmill. Well, every other morning. And there are times because I'm in the storage room early and everybody else is still sleeping upstairs. And every once in a while, like there'll be a weird sound on a podcast I listen to. I mean, it could be like a tech podcast or something, or I listen to weird podcasts, all kinds of podcasts. And sometimes like somebody will drop something on a podcast. And the thing is, like when I'm running, I get so zoned out sometimes that I'm not even like thinking about it. I'm just like, I'm in a zone. Like I'm just like in a trance. And it'll almost buck me off the belt. And that is so dangerous because when you're running like at 6 or 6.5 on that, and the way my treadmill's set up, if you get bucked off, because I'm in the storage room, I have it set up directly to where if you get bucked off, you're going right into a concrete wall. I mean, it's like right into a corner. You're going right into the concrete wall. There's nothing behind it but a concrete wall. I mean, dude, it's like sending you directly to the ER. So I don't know why, because there's not a whole lot of room in that storage room. Probably should rearrange now to think about that and say it out loud. I'm a dummy. I should probably fix that. But I know exactly what you think, because especially nowadays, like they've made the audio so good in these headphones and like with podcasting, because we can record at such a high quality. Like I do CD quality for our show. And when you put in like, because the girls got me those AirPod Pro 2s. Now that you can now with that new update on iPhones, you can use them for hearing aids. With that new update, they're actually you can. I mean, I don't think I need them. I haven't taken the hearing aid test. Maybe I do. I should take it. But they're so good. Like that. Like you could hear everything. And like there have been times I've been on the treadmill that something will come through on that thing. I'm like, oh my God, I thought it was in, because I'm tranced out and I'm just thinking somebody's in there with me because I'm just not paying attention. And it scares me to death. Yeah, I should stop talking because I sound like a weirdo. All right, Len, go green. Here we go. It says, my scary story was from Michigan State. Speaking of Michigan State University. During the week off for Thanksgiving, I volunteered to babysit my dorm and the central classroom and cafeteria building, which served the 6 dorms in my complex. I was required to check the doors to make sure they were locked and do periodic walkarounds in the building to identify any issues. I was on one of my walks around the big central building and was checking the kitchen when I heard the sound of a pressurized sprayer going on and off, which I did not expect at all. I followed the sound and I was surprised to find a person in the building, but it was all legit. They were there applying pest protection. This or that makes sense since something that makes sense is something to do when the kitchen was not producing food. What is more scary to think about is that this was before cell phones and I was not given a radio or anything. Can't imagine how things would have turned out if the person was there for a not legit reason. Right. That's the whole thing is nowadays, right? You're always like, don't go anywhere without your cell phone. And like, I keep my finger, I tell the girls this, especially my daughters, right? Be ready. I mean, just one button and you can call me. And, I have them on Find My, so I know exactly where they are, all that stuff. I mean, my God, like when I was doing that stuff at Chick-fil-A at the mall, we didn't even have cell phones. I was in the bowels of Jamestown Mall, like one of the last people in this gigantic shopping mall in North St. Louis County. There could have been a murderer in those tunnels. I mean, because they were not locked. It was not locked because you went outside to the garbage and it wasn't a garbage dump. It was a garbage compactor. I mean, how does every horror movie has a trash compactor? Because we had to take our boxes, because we had these big boxes of lemon peels. Because again, Chick-fil-A, have you ever had Chick-fil-A lemonade? It rocks because we peeled the lemons. You put the boxes in the compactor and the compactor squashed everything. Dude, that could have been squashing your future favorite podcaster. I didn't even think about it, but if I would have, it would have freaked me out even worse, because these tunnels were like a haunted house. They could have been a haunted house just in themselves, because it was just like industrial, hardly any light, like a couple of fluorescent lights. And you would just see like a very generic sign that would say like Gap, Chick-fil-A, Past Pets. It's Past Pets because you could smell it. They were next door to us. Wetzel's Pretzels. It was so weird, but it was actually kinda awesome, like, when you weren't freaked out because, like, you were, like, behind the it was like the utilidors of Jamestown Mall, but I wasn't a huge Disney fan back then, so I didn't even know what the utilidors were. But it was awesome, but it was freaky when you were one of the last ones. Oh my gosh, I gotta stop. I'm scaring myself. Okay, here's today's topic. And I just want to bring this up because I've been thinking about this a lot. And I want to try to let's see if I can get to this post here, if I can find it on my X account. Let's see here. Maybe I got to go to my phone. How do I do this? Well, no, let's go to my phone. Where is my phone? Let me do this real quick because this week, of course, Tuesday's election day, right? And everybody needs to get out there and vote however you feel fit because there's so many different ways to, decide on how you're going to vote. And I've always thought something that you guys know that I am a very big college football fan. I mean, if you haven't caught that obviously from my social media and how I talk on the podcast, I don't know where you've been because I love sports and I love college football and I love my Missouri Tigers. And here's the thing, I love sports because it brings people together like nothing else. And it doesn't matter. The thing I like about sports, and I'm trying to find this post here real quick, and it's coming. Here it is. And it's coming. It comes from a place that you can get. Yesterday, there was a game, Penn State, Ohio State. I didn't see it because I was at the cheerleading championships, but I heard they drew a record crowd of 111,000 people. 111,000 people in Happy Valley, Pennsylvania. This little place. Little place. It could have been I mean, it's bigger than my town by a lot. To watch college football. On a smaller scale, when we have sellouts at Mizzou to watch a football game, we'll have 68,000 people all there. And most of us clad in our black and gold to root on our Missouri Tigers. Of course, we will have some folks from the other team because we have a section that we sell tickets to the other team. That's a courtesy that we do. And that's what, every school does that. You set aside a certain section of the stadium for the opposing team so their parents can come and their boosters and all that stuff. You sell about 1,000 tickets for them, save them. And so you come and you're nice to them and so forth. You give them a hard time, but you're nice to them, show them the town and so forth. But here's the thing. And I never get political and I never tell people about my politics. My grandpa always told me, you don't tell people about your politics. You just live your life. You don't. And I've told you that my grandpa has always been my hero. He says, you just be good to people and you just show people how you live your life is your testimony. If you're good to people and you live your life the right way, that's all you should do. Like you should not tell people how they should feel and what they should do. If they want to see something in you, then they might see it in the way you live your life. But when we walked out of the football game, our last football game that we went to Mizzou, I was telling my wife because we were there together and it was a great game when we played Auburn. And I was like on a high because that was the game that I did the podcast after, right? Our quarterback was hurt. And I was like, oh, our season's over. And then it's not great sense, but he went to the hospital in the middle of the game. We didn't know it, but he came back from the hospital, finished the game. We beat Auburn, and it was like a movie. It was like a movie. I couldn't believe it. Like I was actually in tears at the end of the game. I was like, college football is the best. Like I don't need to watch movies. I have college football. It is unbelievable. I'm so proud of this kid, Brady Cook. Like I couldn't ask for more. And the thing is, when I walked out of the movie or the movie, see, there you go. When I walked out of the game, we're walking with all these people. We're going back. We're parked in this parking garage across town. and everybody's so happy leaving the stadium. I mean, we're just in this wave of people, everybody wearing black and gold, the various, kinds. Some people have black hats, people have gold hats, people have white hats. Everybody's got Mizzou shirts of different kinds. Some of them are 20 years old, some of them are brand new from the Tiger Team store. You have kids on shoulders, you have 85-year-old grandmas that are, using canes. You have people that are black, white, it didn't matter. You had people of every ethnicity. It did not. The thing was, I turned to Pam and I said, here's the thing. I said, it's amazing that when you get inside that stadium, everybody, for the most part, except for the few Auburn fans that came up, everybody's behind the black and gold. Everybody's cheering for the Tigers. Almost 65,000 people or 68,000 people all pulling for that same cause because we want to see us win. We're rallying together because we have a common cause. And it's a beautiful thing. Like we're all doing our chant. If you sit on the student side, you give an MIZ. And if you sit on our side, we sit on the alumni side, you give a ZOU in response. And when you do it together, it spells Mizzou, and it is a beautiful thing. And you hear it on TV, and it makes our school chant. And it's something that we do. It's us. It marks Mizzou. It marks us, and it makes us proud. And and you walk out. Like, the thing is, I don't know if the guy next to me is a Republican, a Democrat, an independent, a libertarian, whatever. I don't know what his politics are, her politics are. I don't care. If you are wearing my colors, we are brothers. And the thing is, like, we're season ticket holders, so we sit next to a lot of the same people. But there are a lot of times where, like, for example, sometimes we can't make a game because Mallory has a cheer competition, so we have to give up our tickets and we'll give them to somebody else because we can't make it. And so all of a sudden they're like, hey, Mike and Pam aren't here. It's some weird people because we gave them up. And the people around us happens to them, like, hey, our friends aren't there, but somebody, a random person's here. But we just like, hey, good to meet you. That's kind of how it works when you're season ticket holders. It doesn't matter. As long as we're all cheering for the Tigers, we're high-fiving each other. We're in this because we all have a common goal. We want to see our team win. We want success. And if we don't win, we're disappointed. We're disappointed a little bit. But you know what? We still want the best for the Missouri Tigers. And I was thinking about this. 68,000 people left that day happy. We left happy because we had a collective victory. And there were some Auburn fans that were walking through the crowd, going back to their cars and probably driving back to Alabama that day. And the thing I noticed was we weren't mean to them. There were a lot of people saying, jokingly, get little fun comments, but I hope you had a good time in Columbia. I hope you enjoyed Columbia because Auburn doesn't travel to Columbia very often. And the thing is, I think that's kind of the hospitality that you need to show people that came up and traveled all the way to your town. They didn't have the victory, but I hope they did truly enjoy being in Columbia. I hope they ate some Shakespeare's pizza. I hope they got to go to Booch's and have little sliders. That's kind of our thing. Because I would hope that if I traveled down to the plains, down to Auburn, Alabama, I would get to go to Toomer's and get to have their traditions, and they wouldn't be mean. They would be hospitable, and they would embrace me as a Tigers fan, just because I'm not their Tigers fan. I'm a Mizzou Tigers fan, but I want to see what they have. I want to experience what they have. But there was this guy a couple of years ago. His name's Ben Chase. He's a Florida fan, Florida Gators. And he went around and he had a goal to go to as many college football games as he could in one season, driving. He got in this car and drove around to as many college football games as he could. And I think he went to like 80, 85 games or so, just driving from coast to coast. He would leave a game, and just go. And he had this long post. So if you ever look him up, he's on Twitter at Ben G Chase. And he has this post about how college sports can really bring us together in this time right before a presidential election. And the first paragraph says, as we go into this weekend ahead of another presidential election cycle, the first since my 2022 road trip, I just wanted to reflect and share on what was the original thesis of my trip, but also deeper than that, a thesis I believe outside the scope of college sports. What I always went back to during my road trip was nothing brings people together more than college athletics, specifically college football. And that was proven 100-fold over the span of a few months that fall. But more so, I believe that people, humankind, is inherently good. And if I believe that, I must also believe that Americans, which the last time I checked, fall under the umbrella of both people of humankind, is also inherently good. So it's a long post, but the thing is, like, and he goes into how, like, with college sports, you kind of fall into tribes, right? Like, I'm in the Mizzou tribe, and we kind of hate the Kansas tribe. We're taught to hate the Kansas tribe. And we're not big fans of the Nebraska tribe because of our I have a poster here in the office of when we beat Nebraska because they beat the crap out of us for years. I mean, for decades. I remember listening to a game when I was a kid on the radio, and I don't know why I listened to the whole thing. They beat us 77-0, but I listened to the whole thing because that's what I did when I was a kid. I love my Tigers, but I listened to them get crushed 77-0. But I was there the night when we finally beat them. October 11th, 2011, and we rushed the field. But the thing is we go into this election, and the thing is, I just want us to all love each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's what's cool about Disney is, like, when we go down there, we can all, like, when I'm standing in line next to somebody at Walt Disney World, or I'm waiting for Illuminations back in the day, or Luminous, or Happily Ever After, if I'm riding next to somebody on the Jungle Cruise, what have you, the best example, sit next to somebody on a bus after a long day, or getting ready to go to a park in the morning. You could strike up a conversation. I don't care if person's Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, whatever. We're Disney fans. That's what matters. We're humans. We get to have a passion for Disney. Or if I'm at Mizzou, we're college football fans. We're Tiger fans. We're humans. And we care about each other. And man, I always say about our show is that we are so, and I'm preaching to the choir right here, because we are so good to each other with this community. And I just wish so very much that the world could get a piece of what we have in our little community. And our community is pretty good size for a podcast community, but it is so minuscule compared to what the world needs. I know the people are nervous about what's going to happen with the election, all that stuff. I just want you to know that I appreciate each and every one of you. And I'm thankful that it doesn't matter to me where you are. I'm just thankful that you've extended a handshake, a hug, an email, a kind word, a comment during a live broadcast. You've tuned in, you've given a thumbs up. That means the world. And that's what we all are. We are all on the same team. Come Wednesday, we're still all on the same team. And I know that, again, we're preaching to the choir here. But if we could I don't know how do we get this message out to the greater world, to the greater country? Because our country is amazing. I'm super patriotic. I am, because I just am. Maybe it's my generation. Maybe I'm a little bit older. But I truly believe humankind is good. I truly believe, because we see it. How much have we helped people down to Give Kids the World just by doing fundraisers and, helping families that are in truly, hurting because they've had it could have been us, but they got the cards dealt, and they got dealt a bad hand. Any of us could have been dealt that bad hand, but these families got it, and we're trying to help them. But we've been able to help them. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling, but I just wanted to bring that up, that the parallels between college sports and how when you're in that bowl at a college football game, you don't care what people's politics are. You're all on the same team. You're all pulling for the Tigers. Or if you're up like Len, you're up in East Lansing, you're all pulling for Sparty. You're all pulling for the Terrapins. If you're in Maryland, whatever your team is, it doesn't matter. You don't care what the politics are. The guy next to you, the lady next to you, as long as you're wearing the same colors and you're all pulling for that team next to you, you high fiving and all that. You know what? We're all Americans. We're all wearing that same color. We all are. So let's do that. That's the only thing I can say. I love you guys, and I'm all on your team. I am. I just want us to all be together. I remember when I was a kid, the last thing I'll close out with, when I was a kid, my baseball team, this is how old I am. I'm old. Maybe you guys did this. We did a thing called Hands Across America, my baseball team, where there was this gimmick, which I swear I thought it happened. And now that I look back, logistically, it did not happen. We stood in front of this church in this really bad neighborhood right now. Now, it wasn't a bad neighborhood back then, but right now you would get probably shot if you went there. And our baseball team all went like at a certain time. I think it was on a Sunday morning, and we all stood along this road and held hands. And it was Hands Across America. I think it was like in 85. It was like when We Are the World, that song was popular. And we did Hands Across America. I don't know how long we did it, but I do remember my baseball team did Hands Across America. It was like a rallying point. I don't think we need to do Hands Across America, but I think we need to get our hearts all in the right place this week. And just remember, no matter what happens, we're going to be okay. And we have the option to just love on each other and just loving each other in our communities and our families and our neighborhoods, just on your street. Just tell your neighbor, hey, we're in this together. If we have our neighbors together, we're going to be good, because everybody does that. We're good. All right. I've been rambling too much. Let's get it back to Disney. I just wanted to know, because I know some people are nervous. I just want comfort if I can. If there's anybody out there that needs it, I hope that helps. That's all I want. But I'll start telling dumb stories next week. I promise you. I'm not trying to turn you off. I'm just trying to be a friend. All right. Hey, give us a call tonight. Let's talk Disney. It's going to be Disney tonight. Disney. Let's have fun. 7:00 Eastern, 6:00 Central. It'll be dark as a dungeon because it's getting dark here at 4:30. But I can't wait to talk to you guys. Until then, you guys stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.